Apparently, we got 2 minutes to go. Whether or not Aaron is gonna show, I don't know. Oh no, here he is. Let me invite them to the room, kids. Let's see if you can hear me today. Dirty, dirty. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes! You know, same old drama, different day of more drama.
Yeah. Welcome to the never-ending cycle of life.
The never-ending jutsu that is life.
Sukiyami.
Oh man, I've been
Sukuyomi.
that dude. I remember like 10 years ago, you tell me about like how BA Itachi was, and you were like, oh man, he just put you in this world where like 3 days pass, and actually in real life only a second passes, and man, that is brutal.
I mean, just imagine that for a second. Even for people who are watching, well, the one person watching who doesn't even know, anything about Naruto at all. You know, it's like, imagine somebody being able to put you in a dreamlike world where you're being stabbed repeatedly for 3 days straight. 3 days straight, 72 hours, and all to get out of it and look around, and only 1 second has passed.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's
terrifying.
It raises questions for me as a super nerd who also enjoys the science and stuff. Like, I mean, there definitely feels like there could be some like Einsteinian relativistic effects, like time dilation going on with that. But is it that he cast that genjutsu? For those who don't know what genjutsu is it's basically the easiest layman's way of putting it is like a hypnosis, right? It doesn't actually take like a physical effect on you, but what it is it's just like a hypnotic suggestion that makes your body feel things that aren't there. So,
I think in translation, it literally translates into dream world.
Yeah.
In Japanese, so
yeah, Tsukuyomi.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting about it is, and one thing I don't quite understand with it is, does it actually like? Is it just like in a second are you actually experiencing all of that? You know, those 3 days.
The smell, the sight, the sound, the pain.
Or is it
all
just
your senses are linked into this,
or
and you feel everything.
So, or is
72 hours?
Is it just that manipulation though? Like it really actually isn't 72 hours. It just makes your brain think it was 72 hours.
Oh yeah, it makes your brain think, but enabled to be able to sit there and to stretch time out.
It's nasty.
Almost infinitely, and that little bit of time, it's like, no, you're freezing time.
Yeah.
And you're bringing forth this whole new world where you're essentially God, and you could do what you want and kill somebody, hang them to a cross, and stab them repeatedly. Yeah.
Now, can you escape it?
Only way I know you can escape it, 2 ways. Well, in a Naruto world.
Yeah.
Anyways, in a Naruto world, you got to have an immense amount of what is chakra.
Yeah.
And you got to discharge that, and what that does is basically like electrically shocks like the whole system down and kind of wakes you up at the same time. If you're short on chakra, you hopefully have someone who's close by who can literally just like touch you, and they can stream their chakra into you and awaken you from that hypnotic suggestion.
Yeah, but what's terrifying about the Tsukuyomi is because it happens so fast. You might not have like it just. I was trying to do some research to see like who would win in a fight, Jiraiya or Itachi, and you know that because there's people that out there they're like no, like Itachi would body him because
he wouldn't body him.
Yeah, well here's their logic is Itachi bodied Orochimaru, and they say Orochimaru is stronger than Jiraiya, which I don't think he is personally. I know I'm biased, I mean, I love Jiraiya. He's a great character.
That's a tough one because I mean, okay, the first time we see Orochimaru, we never really got to see how strong he really was.
No.
We saw a piece of it. The third took away essentially took away his chakra.
Yeah.
Out of his arms, and so we never really got to see it. But you know, he turned 3 of the greatest ninja ever into zombies, and he was about to have 3. 1 got shut down.
Yeah. Oh god, if he would have had the 4th,
dude, like you're talking about,
that's
like,
a wrap.
So he's essentially controlling these 3, and he hasn't even dived into his bag of tricks yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either.
I mean, Ultramar's a beast. He there's no doubt in my mind. He would give Jiraiya a run for his money. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give it to Jiraiya.
Yeah.
Mainly because of Sage Mode.
Yeah, Sage Mode is no joke, man.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out there, like Sway Kagi being one of them. Yeah, I'll put him on blast.
Yeah.
Who will sit there and say that, like, Jiraiya's, like, fighting the paths of pain. He fought the 3 weakest ones, and once all the stronger ones came out, he kind of got busted up. And here's what I don't like about some of those things. I get it. Like the Jiraiya kind of got left behind in terms of power creep, just because there was so much power creep at the end. But I mean, him, Tsunade, and Orochimaru were supposed to be the top. Like that was the level, and they always go back and point to, well, when Itachi said if I would fight Jiraiya, you know, we would both die or I would die, or, you know, that would be our best outcome, is we would both die. And people point to that and say, well, Itachi was really a good guy, and he didn't really want to fight Jiraiya because of this. And I always go back and say, well, at the time, I don't believe Kishimoto knew that Itachi was going to be a good guy. I think Itachi was a bad guy still.
Yeah, because he didn't know what he was going to do with the character yet.
Yeah, so you can't. I mean, if you take all that power creep and everything, like if you look at it on the surface, like Jiraiya hasn't displayed anything that is you know, palpable, but the way that they kept just adding more and more features to the Sharingan, like it used to be Materasu.
Sharingan's dope, but I've never.
It just kept getting. It's like Super Saiyan. They just keep adding new forms to it. It's like, now it's got to become weak.
Because it's like, because at first everybody's like, oh, well, I don't see how Naruto's going to catch up to Sasuke because of Sharingan, and Sharingan you can do anything with the Sharingan, and it's like, honestly, personally, I'd rather have Naruto's set of skills.
Oh yeah, dude, in a heartbeat.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, don't get it twisted. I mean,
I could get so much stuff done if I can make clones of myself.
My God, dude, I would have at least 50 clones of myself. They'd all be working.
Yeah, I have so many jobs.
Yes.
And you know what? They could all be like easy jobs too, because the cumulative. Now I don't know how that would work in tax brackets. That's a different discussion. But yeah, I would just be true. Like, but even like around the house. It
won't be taxing though, because I was like, even though like yes, they're out there doing that. Once they disappear, you get all that tiredness. You get
you're gonna be beat.
Yeah, so it's like imagine that times 50.
Yeah, but think of how much more you could learn.
That's the thing. That's another thing that kind of pissed me off, man. Like, it's like you gain all that experience. It's like, why not go out there and learn a hell of a lot more?
That's the one thing that I would complain most about, like Naruto, and just that the series in general, is there's so many things in there that were introduced that were never, they were just left behind. Like, you know, as good as like Sage Mode is and everything. Like, yeah, I mean, the thing was called Naruto, so you know he was going to be the strongest,
right?
But just it just everything toward the end feels artificial. Even going into Boruto, where how Boruto where how
Yeah.
weak Naruto was gotten. It's like you're the
Oh, you
Kage.
didn't even hear the latest, dude.
What with his
Oh
fusion mode?
no, well with the Baryon mode, but did you hear
Yeah.
what they did afterwards?
No.
Do you? I mean, do you care? Or
Well, I
I
would
can
like
leave
to
this spoiler
know.
free for you.
Yeah,
You would like
but
to know?
not right now. Not on the show.
Okay.
Just in
Okay, good.
case we get the occasional fan. But
But let's
anyway,
just say that there's some serious nerfing going on.
yeah, it's just that's the part that bothers me is like you create these characters, but then you have to nerf them and then make the like you keep bouncing back and forth.
Right, because the power scaling
Yeah.
in Naruto, it's confusing
Hmm.
um, at critical moments. It's like, okay, I don't understand. Okay, well here's Madara Uchiha, and
Yeah.
he this dude made when he was going up against all five Hokage, he made
Yeah.
um all those Susanoo clones. Like how? Come on, man! You can't stop this dude. He is a embodiment god
Yeah.
right now. Just
Or
you know,
how about this is probably like so again like Jiraiya, Orochimaru, they were supposed to be like superior ninjas, right?
mhm.
Kakashi, you can make an argument that Kakashi fared better against Pain than Jiraiya did because he fought stronger versions. He fought like
That's true. He fought the strongest version.
yeah, and but at the same time he goes Jiraiya fought all of them, and and Payne says like, well, like, it's like they put so much scaling in there because of a term that I like to. The one term I like is plot armor. Like, okay,
Oh, it's a lot of plot armor.
Kakashi isn't going to die because of plot armor. So, but we
Yeah,
don't want to make him overpowered, so we're going to make him like be stunned at Jiraiya even when toe to toe with all of these guys. And I mean, Jiraiya, by all accounts, he could have won it, and I mean, if he would have known what he knew at the end,
if the intel was there, it's like it would have been a lot easier for him to tear him
oh,
apart. It would have been simple. It was like,
it would have
oh,
been a
I
wrap.
taught this dude all this. I'm gonna. Are you serious? I know all this. I know what's going on. And then he would have shredded him.
Would have
But he
been
didn't have that information. I mean, he
well,
put dude in a Genjutsu, and then all of a sudden, like all three
yeah,
of them, or like they're all back. Like what? And then three
yeah.
more here.
You
Yes.
know, it would have been nasty if him and
Mm.
Itachi actually did fight. And Itachi tried to use the Tsukiyomi on him, and he tried to counter the Tsukiyomi by using the Toad song
Mm. Mm.
because I
That's true.
mean,
It is auditory.
yeah,
Once you hear it, you're locked in.
yeah. Now it's interesting to me because any visual genjutsu, any visual hypnosis, like Itachi is just going to be like, yeah, whatever, I'm better. But
Mm.
I don't think that applies to audio.
No, it does not apply to audio. Audio would be
It's
yeah,
a
because the
good
only time
balance.
you've ever seen someone try and lock them up in any kind
Hmm.
of genjutsu
Yeah,
was Asuma's baby mama, Kurenai.
Kurana, yeah,
It was during that the siege of Kisame and Itachi at
yeah.
the Konoha village. Well, not
Uh,
even siege. He just went in there and started checking stuff out.
yeah.
But yeah, so she tried putting him in one and easily deflected that.
Oh yeah, just
And
popped it
flipped
off.
her in it. It's like this dude is a genius, man. Like,
Yeah,
come on now.
or like what he did to Dodara, which is still one of my favorite scenes in the show, where he comes out looking like Jesus with the light behind him and everything. That is,
that was a pretty sweet image, you know.
yeah, and the music, everything was just perfect with that, man. It was dope.
Yeah, yeah, and then Deidara gets caught up in it because he's a art freak, and
Yeah.
he's like, "It's so beautiful." Oh no.
All right. So I think we spent enough time nerding out. There's actually something I sent you guys this topic earlier this week. I don't know if you had a chance to think about it. Um, so we know we've been seeing this happen in the NBA a lot, where players are now being getting more control over their destinies, especially if they are in the upper echelons of the skills. You think you're like your LeBron, KD, people like that.
Mhm.
I think we're starting to see that creep over into football with these quarterbacks. Like you have Deshaun Watson, who is now refusing to play for Houston. Russell Wilson sounds like he's trying to get his way out. Carson Wentz did get his way out of the
Eagles.
yeah, he did get his way out of the Eagles. So,
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. I know they say they have a lot of players have more control over their destinies.
mhm.
There's a lot of pros with it. Some cons. 'Cause
What up,
greed,
P?
greed always plays a role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
So with all of that, and I think there's going to be a push more and more for player empowerment, and I'm very interested to see what this is going to do to professional sports. So
well, I mean, every sport has their own set of rules, man.
Yeah.
NBA is way more flexible than any other sport that I can think of for their players.
Mhm.
Tightest, of course, NFL.
yeah,
So
But-
it's gonna be interesting.
yeah,
This upcoming season, especially with Russell, man. Like I did not see that coming out. I did not see that coming. It's like,
I
dude,
will say
he got some plays with some skill sets. It's like fix the line, and you're golden.
here's
Chris
my
Carson's a great
problem.
running back, and you got DK Metcalf, and I forget who the other receiver they got is.
No,
but-
I'm not in the things with Russell Wilson. Of all the QB complaining, I feel like the big Deshaun Watson I can understand. Yeah, so by the way, Matt Palermo, my boy Matty P, what up? What to do? He's just saying he sees annual contracts becoming a thing in the NFL. I would disagree. In the NFL, I can see that becoming more of an NBA thing. The reason why
annual contracts.
yeah,
Ugh.
because I mean they're already at like 2-year contracts.
Yeah, but it's like, are you really maximizing yourself that way?
Yeah, I mean they tried to dissuade it with the supermax, deals like hey, you
Okay.
stay with the team for so long, you are eligible for more money, but if it's a
But
situation,
but that means people are gonna go for 2-year, $80 million and up
yeah,
contracts
yeah.
for 2 years.
Mhm.
Woo!
Now
That's damn near guaranteed money.
in the NFL, the one reason why I don't think annual contracts is going to be a thing is because of the injury chance.
Not only that, there's way more moving pieces.
Yeah.
Way more.
And in addition to that, I mean think about it. I mean, the NFL already has its NFL contract. Yeah, so yeah, you could have a 1-year contract with with an additional year option. But it makes sense like in the NBA. Like NBA it makes a lot of sense. In the NFL, the reason why like guaranteed money isn't a thing in the NFL is because of things like injury. It's much more you're going to get injured in the NFL. And your lifespan is a lot shorter. So players, if you remember, think about where we're at right now with the franchise tag. That is your 1-year contract. No player wants that franchise
Sure.
tag. They want
See,
the
but
job
then again,
security.
Right. I mean, you want the job security, but at the same time, it's like, you know what you're getting?
Oh yeah.
Getting a lot of money for that 1 year.
For
You know
for
what
that
I mean?
1 year. But look at like Dak, right?
Yep.
Say that was a
Yeah.
career-ending injury. He got that money for 1 year, but now he has no future guarantees.
He has no future guarantees, but guess what? That 1 year, they paid him like $40 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, it's like
That's a nice
35
chunk
million.
change.
It's like
You
it's
know?
like yeah, it's like 35 million. But
Yeah.
if say you sign a contract like $100 million contract with a guaranteed like $50 million or something like that, which is on the low end of the guarantee for a contract that size over like, a 5-year period. Think about it. If you signed that contract then got injured, that guaranteed money is still guaranteed for you. So it's a higher guarantee
Yeah.
over the 4 year than that 1 year. And plus like if you get injured, they will hold that against you. Like GMs will hold that. Well, you got hurt last year, so we don't know if you're going to be as good. So we have to take a couple,
Yeah,
like 5 million off the top.
it's crazy though. Like at that point, it's like, well, it's a business. You're not considered,
Mhm.
like take all the feelings out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, in any sport, you're
Mhm.
physical property for these owners,
Yeah.
and that's all it is. Now it's harder not to take offense to that.
Yeah.
You get a disgusting injury like the one that Dak had,
Yeah.
and all the years put into playing for an organization that hasn't really been too supportive throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's be fair. Dak, I can see where Dallas is coming from. Like, I'm not so convinced Dak is truly a top 10 quarterback. And
yeah, you know what? I'm on the cusp of that.
yeah.
It's like he's there, but he's not there, and he gets a lot of empty calorie stats. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I was like, oh yeah, he threw for almost 5,000 yards. The previous year.
You know what that
Yeah,
reminds
but
me
how
of?
many times were they down, and how many hundreds of yards were just thrown because the game was already over? The other team's playing in a dime defense, middle of the field's open.
Yeah.
You just dump off, and the dude's taking off 30-yard chunks at a time. It's like, come on, man. You know what I mean?
You know who that
So
reminds
it's
me
hard
of
to
though?
tell with that. It's really hard to tell with him, man.
Yeah.
I hope the best for him.
It reminds me of
Right now.
Deshaun Watson, actually.
Hmm?
It reminds me of Deshaun Watson. Everybody talks about like, oh, he led the league and he did all this stuff. It didn't translate to wins. You need a team. Anyway, that's a little bit
That's
off
true.
topic.
Doesn't translate to wins, but there's a lot more moving pieces.
Yeah.
Than just a QB to
Oh
be
yeah,
successful.
absolutely.
know?
And I have a theory of what's going to happen with that, but that's a different topic. Getting back to like this player empowerment thing. So I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people that will basically say, you signed a contract, you should honor that contract, right? There's also a lot of people out there that kind of look at this with like, I don't want to say disgust, but they kind of look at it with a little anger. Like, wait a minute, and I don't know where that anger is coming from, because let's face it, in our jobs, do we have that option to go to our boss and say, you need to trade me to another company? You need to, you need even
That'd be a funny skit.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if skills translated that way. It's like, oh, I've been doing this tech work at
yeah.
this place for so long. Let me trade up to a higher company.
Yeah. So what they do is they put themselves in there. What up, girl? How you doing, youngin?
Good.
You're not gonna stay in chat?
And she could, they were like, I bring up one adult thing. She's like, eyes glaze over. It's like,
Oh man, we can talk about Blue's Clues and stuff. I'm about it. But no, what I was saying is like I get that, but it's not an apples to apples comparison, because the reality is in most of our day to day jobs, we're all expendable. So we don't have that option of being able to dictate the terms of our employment. And if we did have that option, we would flex it. So I don't think it's a valid argument to say that. And like as far as contracts you go, like they're not guaranteed. A contract in the NFL is not guaranteed. But that's
that'd be good. And if you figure anything should be guaranteed, it's at least that time, at least while you're there. It's like, man, you're putting your body on the line.
Yeah. Well,
every single play.
I mean, honestly, that's players and agents' fault. I mean, I can't blame the owners. The owners, I mean, and GMs, they're trying to do what's best for the organization. The players should have started a long time ago putting a premium on making sure that the duration of my even if it meant taking less money per year.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is a lot of these contracts get front loaded. So you get, your signing bonus, and sometimes a prorated bonus that's guaranteed, but then your base salary isn't guaranteed. And by the time you get to the end of your contract, like we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo's contract,
yeah,
how big that was. After this year, he can get cut and it's nothing. It's like nothing to them. So that's
which he will.
Oh yeah.
He will. And it's funny. There's well, Russell Wilson gave us 4 teams that he would go to.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he won't land on any of those teams.
Pittsburgh. He's going to Pittsburgh.
Oh God, don't even vomit.
He'll
That would
end
be
up.
phenomenal for you guys. My God, it's like, yep, that's
Not
gonna be an
not me.
automatic.
Not me. I'm Miami, and I'm trying to stay out of it.
Yeah, but you're a quasi Steeler fan. It's like I would that would be at least at the minimum 2 Super Bowls right there with him coming in, because he's that dynamic and that good. You know, at that
No,
point he becomes a younger, stronger, arm throwing Roethlisberger
yeah.
at the minimum.
So we have chat saying contracts typically have guarantees on both sides. The owner and management don't have any responsibility besides paying you. Yeah, essentially. But in a way, they do have responsibility too. They have responsibility to the organization.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
that's the one thing that we have to keep in mind. They have no responsibility to the player other than paying that salary. But their responsibility is going to be to making sure that that organization is up and running. Now, owners aren't all created equal, and some of them, like the owner, was it Mike Brown in Cincinnati? Another owner, like the Pittsburgh Pirates owner, they will intentionally try to get by with the bare minimum, because the organization is profitable as well. So
There's a lot of teams that do that, man.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like they're not trying to win; they're just trying to possibly get into the playoffs, be a little bit above 500. Be like, oh, we're kind of trying. It's like,
yeah,
like you said, like they're big, they're a marketable team. They're gonna make their money regardless. So what do they
yeah.
care? You know?
But what's a really interesting component about this player empowerment is what it's going to do to fandom. Because historically, fans have rooted for jerseys, like teams, right? The front of the jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we're starting to see now in the world, especially with social media and independent branding that players are doing, that people are going to be more rooting for players. They're going to be rooting for the back of the jersey. Look at Azim, man.
I know.
Azim.
I was just gonna say he doesn't. He has no couth when it comes to sticking with one team. AKA LeBron James. Wherever LeBron goes,
He's like, I'm a Lakers fan now. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I was like, get the hell out of here, man.
As much as he was trashing on those super teams, like on KD joining the Warriors, if that was LeBron, he would have been the biggest Warriors fan. Well, LeBron just made them better. I mean, he had the right, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
exactly.
Dude, I mean, there's people that talk out of both sides of their mouths, and then there's people with multiple mouths.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, even though, even when Brady left New England, man, it sucked. But it's like, what are you gonna do? You gotta go. Now,
Yeah.
I'm still not a Tampa Bay fan. My team sucked. New England sucked really bad. And but in the playoffs, was I rooting for Tom? Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's like there's a big difference between the two at that point. It's like, yes, I am a Brady fan because of what he's given. Even me personally, seeing all the success after all these years. Why wouldn't I wish him the best? But then again, he's not like, oh well, he's done with New England. I'm no longer a New England fan. I am now a Tampa Bay fan. That don't sit right with me.
Yeah.
Fair weather fans.
Do you know where I see leagues going in the future?
God, this is gonna be scary. What?
Have you heard about this fan controlled football?
Oh, dude, don't even say that. That sounds awful.
Yeah, well, it's an actual league. Johnny Manziel's in there. Josh Gordon just signed in there. Here's the way that this league works.
Those two players,
Yeah,
Johnny Manziel and Josh Gordon,
on the same team now.
This is gonna be interesting.
So
Okay.
it's like arena football. It's like a 7-on-7 thing, right? Now, here's the way that this works, and there's some components of it that. Well, I'll explain it, and then I'll see how it translates into professional sports in the future. So here's the way that it works. your team, your owner, the team owner can choose
Mhm.
2 players to be keepers,
Okay.
right? And then every player gets drafted by the fans. The fans of the team every week draft your rest of your roster. With after the first week, they're able to keep, the fans can choose to keep 1 player. So your team is going to look different every single week. In addition to that, your fans get to vote on the plays that you run. Um, so yeah, it's
That gets kind of
interesting.
tough, man. That gets really.
Yeah,
It's,
and I think it's
oh,
not going to be like the specific play. Like I have to, like it's streamed live. Like the first week was last week, and you can watch it on Twitter. I'll probably have to take a look at it, but it'll be interesting.
it's like
Yeah,
what is going on? Like we get to choose a roster? Like,
yeah. So here's what I can see
uh,
happening, translating into going back to professional football, like say NFL.
mhm,
I don't think the fans are going to be able to like draft your roster and everything, but what I can see is maybe 2 or 3 people, maybe 5 or something like that, are people that you will sign to long-term contracts, and
okay.
then every season, all the rest of the players that aren't think of like fantasy keepers, like
Mhm,
you designate, hey, these are my franchise guys.
okay.
They're not going to be eligible for the draft this year. Every other player gets put into the draft, and then teams will be able to draft based on their order and build teams up that way. Every single year, and
Mhm,
it it would fall in line with this idea that teams are less important than individuals, which is
mhm.
kind of a scary thought because that gets into some like a reflection of society, that the individualism is more important than the society as a whole. But
Well,
without that social structure in place, the individual would cease to exist. They would get torn apart,
right.
right? At the end of the day, I mean, biologically speaking, humans are predisposed to forming societies, forming
Yes,
communities and
tribes,
things like that.
clubs,
Yeah,
cults, whatever.
yeah,
It's just it's not it's only natural. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So
Um,
so anyway, like I say all that, um, and I can see that people would be more interested in supporting the fan regard or the player, regardless of the jersey that they're in.
mm,
So we may be in a bit of a
a
paradigm
transition, you
shift,
think?
yeah, because of just the
Hmm.
way that people consume games. Like people aren't.
Sure, they consume like this, but it's such a it's it's gonna take a lot for
Oh yeah,
that
it will. It will.
to take over. Like I don't know, man. The way things flow, like you feel like something like that. Oh, it
Hmm.
could be like decades before that actually flips, or it could be like 5 6 years for all the hell I
Yeah,
know.
could be next
It's
season. That
like,
it could be as soon as the next CBA comes out.
oh my god, can you imagine that?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it
Oh
would be
Lord.
interesting to see.
Oh.
Man, going
Because
back to,
it has me worried about the NBA, man. Like, you know,
you just don't
it's
get
like,
those
yes,
rivalries and things like that. But people don't care.
yeah,
People just like, oh well, I'm following LeBron. They don't care what jersey LeBron plays in. They just want to see LeBron.
right, yeah, fair weather fans, and then when LeBron leaves, what, you gonna just hitch on the next
Yeah,
best player and just
but
fall?
that it's
Like,
fair
it's
weather.
how just ugh.
It's fair weather in the sense of the way that we grew up rooting for teams and supporting teams.
That's
But
true.
in the new world, it's like if you just grew up supporting a player, I mean, then you're gonna
I don't know, man.
you'll just root for that player to be successful.
I guess I got to be more flexible because I'm stuck in my ideological
No, I mean,
ways.
I think it's just it's weird, but like fantasy is like another thing that has really contributed to it because a lot of people now are looking at people for stats,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know
Number
how
chasing.
how many people do you have on your fantasy team that play for a rival?
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
At that point, it doesn't matter, man. It's like, nope, you're looking for the best team
yeah,
possible. You got to
exactly.
drop all your angst and your hatred.
And
Because
so I can see some of that starting to permeate because viewership is down. The viewership is going to decline in the NFL, and it's not because the product is oversaturated and things like that. It's that the way that sports is being consumed is differently. Like more people are just watching highlights on Instagram than they are sitting around
yes,
watching the game.
yes. You know, I found myself because I can't. Like, I'm a Celtic fan. I can't watch every Celtic game.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you what. Right after the game, there's like a little 9 minute clip of the whole game. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I can just watch the whole thing in 9 minutes. That's
yeah.
way more convenient.
Yeah, our lives are getting busier, and the other thing is, I think is really contributing to this is a quarantine. Like it used to be, like just think about football. It used to be all throughout the week, everybody's running around trying to get everything done and everything, and then on Sunday you would try to block out like 3 hours to watch your team play,
Yeah.
and that would be like a relaxing time or whatever. Like that
Mhm.
would be some downtime. Well, now that's all we have is this downtime and watching TV and entertainment. So
For
what's the
now,
point?
things are going to change. Not super soon, but soon enough. You
We'll
know.
see.
So yeah, I don't think I have a feeling things will go back to the status quo at least for a little bit until they oh, remember the quarantine, how this worked, and people all of a sudden they have new ideas, new
Mhm.
ways of contributing to.
I say
I
just
don't know,
embrace it,
explain
man.
it.
Hey, this is the new norm. Like, this whole.
We don't have a choice but to embrace it. It's like,
Well,
what's
no,
the
but I'm
alternative?
even talking about like, hey, this thing has been defeated. It's not going to. Which, by the way, it's never going to be
It's not
defeated.
defeated.
I don't
It's
know
not
if you saw like some of the
You
news
gotta
that I
learn.
saw. There's a new variant that is
Another one.
proven to be
It's like
resistant to the vaccine
shut the front door,
in
man.
New
Are you
York.
kidding me?
Nope, I saw it on Live Science the other day. Like they're still reviewing it. It's still in its new infancies, but they're saying that the efficacy of the vaccine may be reduced in this new variant that's in New York right now.
It's resistant already to.
Yeah, because the vaccine works on. I mean, most of the vaccines are working on like. I don't know the mechanics of it, but it doesn't take much of a mutation in order for it to.
So it doesn't matter how many white blood cells attacks this thing. It's just bouncing them off like bam, bam, bam.
Well,
bam,
yeah, it would be like I said, it's resistant, meaning the vaccine can still be effective. It can still like they're showing that the vaccine is still going to prevent, in most cases, like death and severe illnesses. But what it's not going to do is prevent people from catching it and then continuing to spread it. So, so you hear that, but then at the same time, you hear Dr. Fauci say, well, if you're vaccine, like you can go out without a mask and congregate with people and you can be safe. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What about this new variant? Like you can't, you got to stop talking again out of both sides of your mouth. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing that is clear, and people will argue all the time about the actual efficacies of the masks, but they always tend to argue about the efficacies in the mask in a microcosm, like, oh, for this one person, it's not going to prevent, anything because these masks aren't medical grade masks and things like that. I'm like, yes, I get that. Okay. But if you look at it in the totality of it, flu cases are down this year. Cold cases are down this year. A lot of typical seasonal type of illnesses are way down this year, and it's
Yeah, 'cause
because
we're being cleaner.
yeah, we're
more
wearing
hygienic.
we're wearing masks,
Yeah.
and we're trying to practice social distancing, and we're staying home when we're sick now for the most part.
Yeah.
Those are practices that we should be thinking about continuing. Like if you're sick and you're not feeling well, wear a mask to the store, because again, the mask isn't there to prevent you.
That is a cultural thing, and it's looking
Yeah.
out. It's more looking out for the other person than yourself, and that is a thing that I see in cultures, especially like in Asian cultures.
It's funny you
Seriously,
mention
I mean,
that
like,
because
in Japan and China, like, no man, if you're sick, Korea, you just
yeah,
put that on, and it's like everybody knows. It's like, oh no, you're cool, but it's like, you know what? You're being respectful. You're
Yeah.
spreading this. You're keeping it in.
I've had
That's
an
a respect
argument
thing.
with people I know because they say, were we supposed to be like China and we just walk around with masks all the time? I'm like, well, first of all, I think it's more of a Japanese thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's a common courtesy I mean, that's what it is. But again, I think what this comes down to is, so yeah, like chat says that it is a common practice in Japan, but it's not a mandatory practice, and I think that's what people are getting worried about, is that it's going to be regulated that you have to do this. But I think it's a good practice in general. Like, I mean,
which also, I mean, like, we get started on a whole nother conversation sprouting from this one. It's like, I don't want to get too into it, but it's like a basic, people are fighting for their freedoms, or the freedom taken away from them, and it's like,
people
are
okay.
Well, I can be free. I can have the right to be an asshole and not wear this, and just cough and spread my germs everywhere and not give a damn. That's like, I don't know, man. Like, you can fight it one way or the other. It's like why
freedom? Here's
what I mean. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, here's the thing about freedom, and here's the thing about like rights in general. A lot of times, like we look to the Constitution and say we have a right to this. We have a right to this. Okay, here's the thing that you always have to keep in your brain, is that these rights that are in the Constitution are not, they're not true inalienable human rights, right? Okay. They are, I consider them privileges.
Mm-hmm.
They're
big
not
time privileges.
they're not guaranteed from anyone other than the agreement that we have as society that we're going to live by this Constitution. That's it. It's all just a verbal agreement. It's not even like, you can say it's an enforceable agreement in a court of law, but at the end of the day, governments come and go. Our government could collapse just as much as any other government could collapse. It's not too far-fetched. And at that point, those rights and everything that you're touting cease to exist. So you can't hide behind them. And first of all, those rights also do not give you the right to be a dick. Right? Like, people hide behind this.
I think so.
Like the freedom of speech. Okay, you have the right to freedom of speech. First of all, that doesn't mean that you have the right to say whatever you want to say. It just means you have the right to criticize the government, essentially, without being arrested for it. Right. But if you want to hide behind it, that freedom, you have freedom of speech, but what you don't have is freedom of consequences for those speech. Right? If you want to go out and you want to insult somebody, and they want to punch you in the face, you can't say, well, freedom of speech, you shouldn't have been able to punch me. I'm like, no, man, you insulted the dude, and you got slapped up for it. Yeah. With freedom comes responsibility and comes accountability.
Bingo. And that is the major factor with this, is accountability with all of this. And which brings me back to the point of wearing a mask in society. It's like, they can go ahead and mandate it that you have to wear it, and then, but then from that will sprout out, well, now you're taking away my freedom. Now you are Big Brother making me wear this mask, and I have no freedoms. And then it's like, take the government down there. It's like, chill out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This is all for the betterment of society. Yeah, for now. This is not a forever thing.
Just suck it up, man.
Figure this thing out.
And you know what?
It's gonna be years before this is all figured out, but it's.
And you know what?
It's all right. They're gonna fix it. Just hold tight.
You know what? After this is all said and done, I may still wear a mask out in public just to make people uncomfortable. Because let me tell you, man, the hypochondriac in me.
Take that mask off. You don't have to wear a mask. It's like, it's my freedom to wear my mask wherever I want to.
But here's what I'm hoping it turns into, because that's the one thing. Like, when I see people wearing masks, right? We have a pretty sizable Asian population around here, and I see them wearing masks. I know to stay the hell away from them.
Really, Pottstown?
In the Philly area.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Especially when you go into the outlets. Like, it's just, it's a melting pot, like in these like shopping centers and things like that.
Love my Asian peeps.
But when you see them wearing a mask, I know to stay the hell away from them, because they're probably contagious.
Yes.
And I'm going to carry that forward. Like, so I don't want people near me anyway, So even if I'm healthy, I will wear a mask just so people look at me like, oh man, he might be sick. I need to stay away from him. Exactly. Keep your ass away from me. I don't like you.
That's exactly what it's saying. I do not want to pass this around
Yeah.
like a rash. It's like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like,
but even
keep your distance. Let's be safe.
But it's
Let's be
hard
respectable.
because our society is not. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a balance between pure individual freedom and the benefit of society. And the way that I look at it is, if you are, and I'm going to go biblical right now. If you listen to, the teachings of Jesus, everything in that is like, this idea of like turning the other cheek and everything. And
Right.
it's about like, yeah, you can do, what it is that you need to do, but just be respectful. All right. Nobody's saying that you can't do, what it is that you want to do. Nobody's saying that we're trying to control, or, that like, nobody wants to be controlled. I don't want to be controlled. Like, the moment you tell me I need to do something, I'm not doing it. I don't care.
Right. It's only natural. It's only natural to be like, oh, I'm gonna be resistant.
Like if I was a hypochondriac, if I wasn't, so like messed up about disease, I would never wear a mask just because somebody told me I had to do it, because I'm an asshole. But at the same time, that there's just this common respect thing, right? Like, when somebody is crossing the street and you see them crossing the street, do you gun? Do you accelerate faster, knowing that, oh, they're crossing the street, so I'm gonna try to hit them. I have my right to it. It's like, no, man. You see them crossing the street. You don't want to hit them. They don't want to be hit. You slow down. You let them pass. You may be upset, like
Europe,
if they're
it's the other way around.
Oh, I know.
Europe, they do not care. It's like, they will aim for you. You better cross that street quickly because the cars have the right of way over there.
Yeah. But even still, I mean, do you think most people, want to actually hit somebody?
Well, yeah, I would hope not. I know there's a few out there statistically that would be all about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's going to be a few of those anywhere.
But overall, I would say no. We want to all be respectful and be safe for each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And be there for each other.
Yeah, everybody loves it. Yeah, just be. If everybody took a little bit of a moment, like, and realized that their bubble isn't their bubble. Like, I'll tell you how far I go. If I'm at a grocery store and I see item on the shelf that I want, it's on my list, and it's the last one there, I'm very hesitant to take that item because I'm like, well, maybe somebody else needs it more. If everybody just took a little bit of that, then things would be better. If everybody were to be a lot more like Severin and be quiet when she walks into the room, as opposed to coming in like Dylan and just being loud.
Being loud and being crazy.
I'm just kidding, girls.
I need this.
Yeah, I see you.
You doing good? You doing your hair?
What you gonna do to your hair? You gonna put some braids in it?
I don't know how to braid. I just let it because I got a perm last night.
Oh, dope. Where'd you get it permed at?
Huh?
Where? Oh, you did it at your mom's house?
Yeah.
I haven't permed my hair in a while.
Me either.
Yes, we're almost done.
Oh man, Roblox crackhead over here.
Oh, are you trying to play some Roblox? What other games you play?
Just Roblox. That's really it.
Well, Roblox, it's like 30 or 40 different games in Roblox. So.
I've never played it. I played.
Way more than that. There's over like 3 million games.
What?
It's not 3
yes,
million.
there is, Dad. Yes, there is.
3 million?
There's like 400 games on one page of Roblox.
What? And how many pages are there?
If you searched up a game, there would be like 400 games just from you scrolling down.
And how many pages are there?
Lots.
I will investigate that because 3 million is a lot of coding.
That's a lot.
How about Among Us? You play Among Us? Are you sus?
I'm playing it. Huh?
Are you sus?
No. Well, my name is I Vented, so.
Your name is I Vented?
Mhm.
What's
These
my
kids,
name?
man. These
Batman
kids-
J.
Badman J.
Badman
Yeah, these
Dini.
kids, man, they like watching them play this stuff. I'm like, wow, I really am old, man. Like video games are, it's kind of terrifying me. I'm like, I used to love video games. Now I don't care as much
It's like,
anymore. And I'm like, I don't want to care, but I'm like,
nah, man. You just gotta find the right type of video game. Like I was
that's
playing.
what it is too, man. Like I miss that.
You just
Oh, looking forward to playing something. It's like
You
I haven't
just-
had that.
you know what it is, man. You just gotta embrace it. Like I was playing with my buddy Victor the other day. We were playing Fortnite. He just bodies me. I
Oh, Victor's playing it, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
like I never
like it's his second job.
yeah, like I don't play it, like that. So like I don't build or anything. I'm just in there, just having fun and playing some Minecraft. And he comes up and he just mashes me with a sword. I'm like, oh hex no. So we get into a little slap fight. But I mean, you just gotta enjoy it for what it is. Like I mean, some games like I'll get really into, like God of War, like games with good
Yes.
stories and things like that. Amazing. Horizon
Yes.
Zero Dawn, so solid.
Ryzen what?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I know what's that. I know. See, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, no.
This came out a few years ago. It's a PlayStation exclusive, so sorry for
see,
that.
another reason.
But it takes place in a futuristic world that
Sorry, you sound like the friggin' phone guy from the '90s.
takes place
In a world.
in a
where-
world. But no, it's in the future world, but it doesn't look like a future world. It looks like a primitive world, right?
All right.
Like like Native American style, like primitive.
Okay.
And you are like there's these machines that basically are like your fauna, your animals, right?
Okay.
And like there's some that look like deer, some look like cows, there's others that look like giant dinosaurs, and they're out there. You have to hunt them and kind of take the part, get their materials from them so that you can craft different weapons and things like that. But
So it's like colonialism type of era. But
no,
there's-
it's pre-colonialism, right? Because like your weapons are
Okay.
like bows and arrows, like slingshots, things like that. And yeah, you have to try to take out these these machines, but you're trying to figure out what's going on. And you find out, man. Do you want me to spoil this for you right now? Because
Sure, go ahead.
All
Give me a
right.
second though. This girl's trying to be slick, man.
yeah, I see her. I
Gotta
see
keep
her.
my eye on this one. I'll be right back. Just give me a second.
Yep, yep.
Hey,
What you doing, youngin?
close the door, but leave it open, all right?
So.
All right, Annie.
So anyway, so you're trying to figure out what's going on. Like first of all, you find out you've never you're this female named Aloy, and she doesn't have a mother. She never had a mother. They just found her inside one of these pyramids where like technology and things come from. And you're like, what's going on? Well,
Like to find out like buried inside this pyramid, or are they
just crying like a baby. Like
just? Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's strange.
and they raised her. So here's
Wait,
what
who
happened.
raises her?
One of the tribes.
Okay.
So what you find out is I don't know how many thousands of years ago a company created these war machines,
Mhm.
right? Well, due to a bug, these war machines also have the ability to self-replicate. They were able to consume biomass, and turned it into parts for themselves so that they can self-replicate. And they were supposed to be like, controllable, but then there was a bug that kind of allowed them to break free of the control.
All right.
So they brought in this one scientist, and she was trying to figure out, what's going on. She came up with this plan called Zero Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
right? Here's the whole purpose of Zero Dawn. She's basically, you find out that there is no way to stop these machines. These machines are going to consume all the bio. So in order to preserve life, what we have to do is um, seal people inside of these chambers and have them work on these, I forget how many systems. They create this Gaia system and then series of subsystems that will come after that. And what these subsystems will do, like they're supposed to be like a repository for all of human knowledge. There's like human arts and everything like that. There's like one that will control like the flora, one that controls like the fauna, one that's going to take like a look at the biosphere to make sure that the right chemicals are put back in there to preserve human life. And then there's one that's even called Hades, where if all of the machinations were put into place were going to result that weren't coming up correct, this Hades function would come out and basically destroy all the things that are being reproduced. So like animals and things like that, they were created as machines to function as animals in order to help rebuild the biosphere. Right,
Almost sounds like Westworld.
Yeah, maybe. I've never seen Westworld. So you come
Great
to
show.
so
You're
you
missing out.
you come to find out. So what happened is during this thing, like the leader of the company, he kind of he killed like Project Apollo, which was supposed to store all the knowledge. And the reason why he's like, well, with all this knowledge that we're going to give back to our future humans, they're just going to do the same thing over again. So no, I'm not going to do it. So every piece of history that humanity had was lost. And then when these new clones came to be, like they were born in these pyramids, thousands of years later. So the way that it worked is creating these artificial animals and these artificial constructs to basically repopulate the world or make the world planet livable again. Then humans would be recreated. Humans were recreated, and then they were kind of like set, they were raised by machines in these giant pyramids, and then they were moved out. That's where these tribes originated from and everything. It turns out that your character is a clone of the original scientist. So
Okay.
as kind of like a failsafe, like, hey, listen, things could get nutty, so I'm going to make an unauthorized clone of you in order, like a 100%.
Damn, this sounds familiar right now.
It's such a good game, though, man.
It sounds freaking phenomenal.
It is, and the sequel's coming out. Woo!
And it's just an RPG.
Yeah, it's like an action, open world. It's awesome. Like you get a chance to like, you get like stealth things, set little traps. Like when you're fighting some of the saber tooths, man, it's so.
And what is the name of this game again?
Horizon
What's it
Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. All right.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think we remember
the
when I
trailer.
was visiting, when I was visiting up in the summer, I think we watched the trailer for it. That's maybe why it sounds familiar to you.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, I've heard of.
You know what? You don't even need to watch the trailer,
like the past,
man.
like year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like,
put your mind in the blender and spin it. And
oh,
puree it.
absolutely, man. Hey, girl. Oh, speaking of girl, man, did you get a chance to take a look at those softwares that I sent you?
Yes, I got to go over with Erica and see exactly what
right.
we want to do. That she's Erica's she's busy. I'm gonna hit her up here in a bit. We're gonna see what's up.
Right, youngin?
So
Huh?
Sev, I'm talking to you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I'm looking for a haircut.
oh no, there's something on the door handle over there.
Why you got
Oh,
hair
well.
ties, Aaron? Your hair ain't that long yet.
Yes, it is.
Shoot, and you got girls, constantly just dropping hair ties everywhere. It's like, oh my god, it's like a little Olympic pattern.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. But it seems like she's getting to be a bit busy, or wants to get some of those roadblocks. So I think we can end the show right now. We had some good combos today, man. It was fun.
Absolutely, man. I kick Azim's ass and drag him out here.
I'm telling you, man. I don't think he likes me anymore.
No, that's not it at all, bro. We all just got caught up in our own crap. You know, it is
Word.
what it is. You know, but hey, we love our guests. We love coming on here and speaking to y'all, and you
Heck
know,
yeah.
dropping off daily or weekly knowledge and in the nerd world and sports world.
Oh, definitely. And
I'm trying
just
to bring the nerd, more of the nerd myself.
I know.
I gotta come on and start talking about like the golden age of television, which is right now, and all the shows that are coming out. And I mean,
Whew.
my goodness, I mean, we could just spend like honestly a month talking about the Disney shows alone.
Yeah.
Bless you. Like for like I don't know if you've watched it, but I have you watched any WandaVision?
No, not yet.
First, it's a slow burn. First of all,
Is
let
it?
me just warn you there.
Is it
The
like
first-
a comedy or
Bless you.
is it like action?
The first 2 episodes it's like the Dick Van Dyke Show,
Okay.
and then it progresses from there, and you see like okay, now we're into the Bewitched era
Mm-hmm.
of comedy. So the first 2 episodes it plays exactly like that, to the point where they have the 4:3 television ratio.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
holy crap! Like, they really went in on this, you know, and then it progresses from there, and then you know next you know you get another layer taken off, and another layer,
Mm-hmm.
and they've done a great job building up the angst and the craziness of Wanda. It's like
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch was always cool to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when I was a kid and I found out she was Magneto's daughter, and I mean, they're
Woo.
gonna change it up in this, you know. But yeah, it was Magneto's daughter, man.
What you know? A show I'm looking forward to is the Last of Us show.
There's so much coming out.
When they're
Oh, my goodness.
reuniting some of the Game of Thrones cast.
You see, man, okay. See, it's another game that I have. I have the original. I should go and play it right now. I have it on the PS.
You have Last of Us?
Yeah.
Go play that, dude. Go play.
I have a problem.
I'll never hear from you again. Dude, if you don't want to play it, man, just go and watch. Like, people now take the cutscenes and stuff, and
And make it to one long movie.
yeah, just go watch the movie online.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. I don't know. It's like, yeah, maybe I should just do that because
Is if you're not
But
gonna
then,
play it, man. I mean, it's such a good play.
that's what I hear. And you know what's crazy is I have because around when the game was popular, they made comic books.
Yeah.
Dark Horse Comics created like a 4-issue miniseries about the main characters, and it was really good. It
Hmm.
was excellent. I went and got it. I was like, I couldn't get enough to read.
I gotta
pumped
peep
up for the
it.
game. I played like the first, I don't know, I gotta say at least like 20% of the game, and then
Yeah.
lost in a shuffle of life.
I know what I gotta take a look at is I think they're coming out with a God of War comic. I think it was Dark Horse to explain what happened between when he was in Greece and then we got moved into the North, when he's now in Viking mythology. So be interested to see
Man,
that.
he's just slaying gods left and right. So he's
He's a
taking
monster,
out
man.
the whole like.
He's a god himself, so
Well, yeah, no, but like, what is he the god of right now? Like, exactly.
nothing. I mean, so in that world, and some would actually say that this is actually true in early Judaism, where the early Judaism there were multiple gods, and God, as we know him in the Judeo-Christian sense, it was just one God, and he was the god of the Jewish people. And then there was like Zeus, and then there's Odin, things like that. They're gods of their respective realms.
In Judaism?
Yeah, like
Wow.
it's like in
What?
like some of the earlier texts. I remember reading something about that. It was interesting.
Really? That
Yeah.
they were a polytheistic.
Not that they were polytheistic, it's that their god was just one of many gods. Like they worshiped their one god, but he existed within all of the other gods that existed. So, you know, like I said, Zeus and the Greek pantheon, like the Greek realm had their own gods, Norse had their own gods.
Yeah.
Now, it could be that maybe there were lesser gods or something like that, or maybe, I mean, if you wanted to like tie it all back together, maybe those people who are worshiping like Zeus or whatever, they're actually worshiping like angels or fallen angels and things like that, and there was
That's
one
always made
true
me
god.
think, man. It's like, what if they're just all fallen angels that
Yeah.
I could go on a theory about that.
Yeah.
Book of Enoch and all that. It's
Hmm.
fantastic stuff.
But we will end the show on that delightful note. So thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully we'll be able to catch you all next week with some more nerd
Word.
and more sports stuff.
Word up, people. Thank you.
Take care, guys.